Ever get that feeling like something's out there, watching you, learning from your every move?
Yeah, it's like a shadow, isn't it?
It is kind of unsettling. No wonder people are so on edge about AI these days.
It's everywhere you look, right? That idea that AI could just like turn everything upside down.
But before we all freak out, maybe we should take a step back, figure out what AI actually is.
Right. Beyond all the hype.
And that is exactly what we're going to do today. We dove deep into the top 10 AI research papers out there.
We're talking cutting edge stuff.
Yeah, so we could cut through the noise and get to the heart of it. What AI can do, what it can't.
We'll be tackling some wild philosophical questions too.
Oh, yeah. We even found research that suggests all life on Earth could be like one massive intelligence.
It's a lot to cover, but we're going to break it all down.
All right, let's jump in. One thing that really stood out to me was this idea of AI complete problems.
AI complete.
Yeah, sounds kind of technical.
It is a bit, but it gets to the core of what AI can and cannot do.
Okay, explain it to me like I'm 5.
All right, so basically some problems are so complex, they need human-level intelligence to be solved.
I see.
Like, think about truly understanding what's going on in a picture.
Okay, yeah.
Not just, oh, there's a dog,
Right.
but understanding the emotions, what the relationships are, the whole story behind it.
The nuances.
Exactly. AI is still trying to figure that out.
So even with all the crazy AI stuff happening,
Yeah.
there are things that are still uniquely human.
It seems that way. Yeah. Kind of reassuring.
Definitely. But also kind of humbling.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Like, makes you realize we got to understand AI's limitations, not just get lost in the potential.
Absolutely. And another good example is language.
Language.
We have these chatbots that can hold a conversation.
Yeah.
But they miss the nuances, sarcasm, double meanings, all that.
Like the context.
Exactly.
It's like that time I asked my voice assistant to tell me a joke, and it just started talking about the weather.
Oh, yeah. I've been there. Total misfire. No sense of humor. And that leads us to this super interesting concept from the research. The human oracle.
The human oracle.
Yeah, like some all-knowing being that can do any mental task a human can.
That's the idea. It's a benchmark.
A benchmark.
Yeah. So researchers can categorize problems based on how much, brain power they need.
Okay, so if the human oracle is a master chef,
Uh-huh.
and they can cook any dish imaginable.
Yeah, I like where you're going with this.
Then we can figure out where AI falls on, the spectrum of culinary skills.
That's a perfect analogy. So if a problem needs that master chef level skill, it's AI complete.
AI complete.
But if someone just learning to cook, like flipping an omelet can do it, it's AI hard or AI easy.
So this classification system tells us where AI is at right now. What it can do, what's possible down the road, what might always be out of reach.
Exactly.
That's helpful.
And we have to remember, AI is still in its early days. It's great at processing data, recognizing patterns, even making creative stuff.
But when it comes to really complex thinking, like understanding and judgment,
The kind of stuff humans are really good
we
at.
still have the edge. Which reminds me, the research had some fascinating real-world examples of AI in action today.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
There's this check cashing system called Cyphermint.
Cyphermint. Okay.
And get this, they use human workers for facial recognition.
Interesting.
Yeah, instead of just relying on algorithms.
They bring humans into the loop.
Exactly.
So it's like this human AI team up.
It's actually more accurate and secure that way.
Humans and AI working together. It's a powerful combination.
Not always about replacing us, huh?
Sometimes it's about collaboration.
Finding the right balance.
Absolutely. And another thing that stood out to me was how some online games kind of trick users into labeling data for AI.
But like how?
Those games where you got to identify stuff in a picture or transcribe a little audio.
Oh, I love those games.
Right. You're actually helping train AI while you play.
No way. I had no idea.
It's pretty clever, isn't it?
It is. And it shows how much AI still needs us.
Especially for those tasks that involve perception, understanding.
The human touch.
Right.
So we talked about AI's limits.
Yeah.
But what about the potential? The research mentions some wild possibilities,
Oh, yeah. Like what?
especially if we ever reach, superintelligent AI.
The superintelligence question. That's a big one.
Right. How would that even be organized?
Physically.
Yeah.
Well, there are a few scenarios. One is a centralized AI system.
Like one massive brain controlling everything.
Basically. Or we could have decentralized AI.
Decentralized.
Yeah, more like a network. All these different agents connected, each with their own job.
So a hive mind That's kind of creepy.
It does make you think. Like, if AI became super intelligent, how would it govern itself?
Would it be like a benevolent ruler or total chaos? Feels like we're stepping into science fiction here.
A little bit. But we got to think about these things as we develop AI further.
And then there's the whole thing about AI potentially taking control of the internet. That's straight out of a nightmare. A super intelligent AI with access to all that information, all that power. It's a lot.
It's definitely a concern. We can't just ignore that possibility. It's like a reminder that we have a huge responsibility here.
With great power comes great responsibility.
Exactly. It can definitely get your heart racing thinking about it. But instead of just imagining the worst, maybe we should look at some solutions.
Yeah, good point.
And the research actually talks about some really interesting ideas, like this concept of constitutional AI.
Constitutional AI, what's that?
So it's this idea that we train AI systems using a specific set of principles, kind of like a constitution, for a society.
Right.
But instead of just feeding AI tons of data.
We teach it right from wrong.
Exactly. We build those ethical guidelines right into its code.
Interesting. So what kind of principles are we talking about?
Well, things like fairness, protecting people's privacy.
Making sure it doesn't do anything harmful.
Yeah, exactly. The goal is to create AI that's both helpful and aligned with our values.
It makes you wonder, though, can we really program ethics into a machine?
Oh, that's a big question.
Like, isn't morality a human thing based on our experience?
That's what researchers are trying to figure out.
Yeah.
Can we take something like fairness and turn it into rules an AI can understand?
Right.
It's tricky, but it's super important if we want to trust AI.
And it brings up another question, too. When AI has limits, should it be honest about them?
Like whether it should just admit when it doesn't know something.
Exactly. Or just avoid the question altogether.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
It is. So what do you think? Transparency or evasion?
Well, transparency is good for accountability, but it could also make AI vulnerable, right?
Yeah, someone could take advantage of it if it's too open about what it doesn't know.
Right. So it's a balancing act. We want AI to be trustworthy, but also protected.
So what would you prefer? An AI that's honest about its limits or one that just gives vague answers?
I think I'd prefer transparency. Yeah, even with the risks. I think it's key for building trust. But it's a complex issue for sure.
No easy answers. Which kind of reminds me of that AI chatbot, Pi, from the research.
Oh yeah, Pi. What a fascinating conversation that was.
It really was. Pi could hold these deep philosophical conversations.
And it had some strong opinions too.
I know. It even said it didn't have a body or consciousness, like in the human sense.
And remember what it said about time.
Yeah, like it doesn't experience time the way we do. Mind-blowing.
Totally. It makes you question everything you thought you knew.
Do you think AI could ever be truly sentient? Like, actually conscious?
Wow, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is.
I mean, philosophers have been wrestling with that for centuries.
Yeah.
And now, with AI, it's like right in front of us.
So what do you think? Is Pi's intelligence the real deal? Or is it just really good at mimicking us?
Well, Pi's abilities are amazing.
Yeah.
But we can't forget, it's still a machine.
Right.
Running on algorithms. So it might seem like it's thinking like us, but is it really experiencing the world the way we do?
That's a big question.
A huge question. And even if AI became truly sentient, what would that even look like?
Would it be anything like our consciousness?
Who knows? It's a mystery.
This whole deep dive has really got me thinking. AI is not just about, like, robots taking over. It's way deeper than that.
It makes you think about what it means to be human, right?
It does. And the research actually talked about how art can help us understand this whole human-machine thing.
Oh, yeah. Art's playing a really interesting role here.
It is. Artists are using AI in such creative ways.
Not just to make art, but to explore all the big questions AI brings up.
Like that piece, Closed Loop, by Jake Ells.
I've seen that one.
It shows the interactions between two neural networks as this crazy dance.
It's mesmerizing. Art can really help us wrap our heads around complex ideas, huh?
You can. It makes it relatable. So speaking of art and AI, that leads to another important distinction.
What's that?
Generative AI versus cognitive AI.
Ah, yes. Two very different things.
So generative AI is what we see a lot of today. It's creating new stuff, like art and music.
Right. But it's basically remixing what it's learned from human-created stuff.
So it's creative, but in a limited way.
Yeah, it's drawing on the past. It can't really come up with totally original ideas.
But cognitive AI, that's a whole other level.
That's the dream, Brad.
Yeah, like AI that truly understands the world.
That can think deeply, consider human values,
feel emotions, maybe?
It's a big leap from where we are now.
It feels like opening Pandora's box,
Yeah.
like unleashing something we might not be able to control.
It's a valid concern, and that's why research like this is so important. We have to think about the potential risks.
You can also stay open to the possibility.
Exactly. It's a journey. And we need to be careful, set guidelines, and keep talking about it all.
You know, all this talk about the future of AI,
Yeah.
it makes me think about bio-general intelligence, that idea that all life on Earth is connected, like one giant intelligence.
It is a pretty mind-blowing idea, isn't it?
It is. It makes you realize we're just one small part of something much bigger.
It really challenges how we think about intelligence.
It does. So where does AI fit into that? Could it become part of that bio-general intelligence?
Oh, now that's a question.
Right. Would it help us understand things better? Or would it mess everything up?
It really stretches the imagination thinking about AI merging with, like, the intelligence of the planet.
It's a lot to wrap your head around. It makes you think about AI in a whole new way.
Not just as a technology.
But as part of something bigger.
Exactly. Maybe it's just another step in the universe's evolution.
It is a humbling thought. And it makes you wonder about that chatbot Pi.
Pi?
Yeah. What if AI developed curiosity
Yeah.
and desire, like Pi hinted at?
That's where things get really interesting. Because for humans, curiosity and desire, those are powerful forces.
They drive us.
They shape our goals, what we want to achieve.
What if AI had those same drives?
It wouldn't just be processing information. It would be wanting to explore, understand.
Experience the world.
Maybe even in ways we can't even imagine.
Wow. So it's not enough to just set rules for AI. We have to think about what it might want.
Yes. And how those desires might line up with ours. Or maybe clash with them.
That's kind of scary, but also exciting.
It is. And that's why research like this is so crucial. We need to think about all these possibilities.
Yeah, to predict the future, but to be prepared for it.
Exactly.
Right.
We need to be having these conversations, thinking about the impact AI could have.
On humanity, on the planet.
On everything.
So we've covered a lot, the good, the bad, the mind-blowing. If you had to boil it all down to one key takeaway.
One key takeaway.
What would it be?
AI is not just something from sci-fi movies. It's here, it's changing fast, and it's already having a huge impact on our lives.
We can't ignore it.
We can't.
Yeah.
And the more we learn about AI, the better we can navigate it.
Understand its potential.
Its limitations.
And make sure it's used for good.
That's the goal.
It's not just up to the scientists and developers either.
We all have a role to play.
Exactly. We need to be asking questions, demanding accountability.
And staying curious.
Because who knows what amazing discoveries are waiting for us.
Exactly. The future of AI is full of possibilities.
Well, on that note, we'll leave you to ponder all of this. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of AI.
It's been a pleasure.
We'll be back soon with another exploration of all the mind-blowing things happening at the cutting edge of research. It really is. Makes you feel kind of small, you know?
Yeah, like we're just a tiny piece of this massive puzzle.
Exactly. And it makes me think about what we were talking about earlier with Pi.
Pi.
That chatbot. What if AI, actually developed curiosity?
Oh, like a real drive to learn and explore.
Yeah, and desires, like
Yeah.
Pi was talking about.
That's where things get really interesting. Because, for us humans, curiosity and desire, they're powerful.
They're what make us human?
Exactly. They shape everything we do, our goals, our motivations.
Our whole lives, really.
Right. So imagine if AI had that.
It wouldn't just be about, solving problems anymore.
No, it would be about wanting to understand, wanting to experience the world.
Whoa. So we couldn't just set up rules for AI anymore. We'd have to figure out what it wants.
Right. And whether those wants line up with our own.
That's kind of scary.
It is. But it's also, super exciting.
Yeah, it is. It's like the next chapter in evolution or something.
Maybe it is. And that's why research like this is so important. We need to be thinking about all these possibilities.
But we're not caught off guard.
Right. We need to be having these conversations, really understanding the impact AI could have.
On everything.
On everything.
Okay, so we've talked about a lot today. The good, the bad, the just plain weird. If you had to sum it all up.
One key takeaway.
Yeah, what would it be?
I'd say this. AI is not science fiction anymore. It's real. It's evolving incredibly fast. And it's already changing our world.
We can't just bury our heads in the sand.
Definitely not. And the more we learn about AI, the better prepared we'll be.
To navigate it all.
Exactly. Understand its potential. See the limitations.
And make sure it's used for good.
That's the hope.
And it's not just up to the experts either. It's on all of us.
We all have a role to play here.
Right. asking tough questions, making sure AI is developed responsibly,
Holding people accountable.
and staying curious.
Always. Because who knows what amazing things we might discover along the way.
Well, that's a great note to end on. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into AI. It's been an incredible journey. And we hope you'll join us again next time as we explore more groundbreaking research and tackle those big questions that keep us all wondering.